So as we get ready to honor the next Hall of Fame class, we start with Jane Shaw. To introduce Jane, I'm very pleased to invite Dr. Leighton Reed to the stage. Dr. Reed's been involved in founding, leading, and investing in numerous successful biotech companies for the last 30 years. Currently, he's a venture partner in both Alloy Partners and Brandon Capital Partners, the leading healthcare venture firm in Australia. He's been a longtime friend of Jane Shaw and her husband, Peter Carpenter, and he's worked with Jane on a number of occasions over the years. So please welcome Dr. Leighton Reed.
All right, so what do the following have in common? The company that pioneered drug delivery, a major forest products company, the company that delivers a third of the medicines to people in the United States of America every year, the world's leading semiconductor company, the company that hosts 500 million consumer visits a month on its website. And the answer, of course, is people. People. Tens, hundreds, tens of thousands of people who must be motivated and coordinated for organizational success, each of whom has their own aspirations and their own challenges and problems. Looking at the logos out here, I can see that a lot of you get that. Well, it's a deep understanding of these issues is the reason that Jane Shaw has been sought out to be a member of the board and advisor for so many different kinds of companies and so many different organizations, including companies that are not companies, but large religious congregations, large hospitals, large performing arts organizations. Now, those of you who know Jane and are here to support and thank her know that in 2 or 3 minutes I've been allotted, I couldn't possibly do justice to how much she has meant in our lives. For those of you that don't know Jane Shaw, picture a member of your extended family who you wouldn't hesitate to go to with one of your most difficult problems. You know that you would be emotionally supported, you'd have a sympathetic ear, that you'd get advice that was both sparing and generous and gentle. If needed, you might get a touch of steely resolve. And when faced with a really big and surprising setback, you might hear, "Well then, we'll just have to deal with that, won't we?" When Jane Shaw became president and COO of ALZA Corporation in 1987, there were very few women in a similar leadership position in the Bay Area or anywhere else in the United States. Her mentoring and the role model she has provided have helped change that. Jane could teach a course in corporate values and corporate culture, but she doesn't do that. She simply provides an amazing example. And if you're paying attention, there's a lot that can be learned there. So Jane Shaw and her multi-talented husband, Peter Carpenter, are the reason that Carol and I are in the Bay Area. We moved out here to consult for ALZA and our mutual mentor, Alex Zaffaroni. I just got a text a minute ago from my daughter who says, "Dad, if it hadn't been for Jane and Peter, we'd have been born in Boston." Lucky you. We're all lucky. It was the Bay Area Council stuff that caused her to send that, by the way. Our families have shared many transitions, personal and professional. As the first independent director of the company I started, Averon, that created FluMist, the nasal flu vaccine, Jane agreed to come on board as a director on the board at a time where we had some significant management challenges. We were facing an IPO, hopefully, phase 3 clinical trials, and lots of other challenges. And her advice was always on target, always sympathetic. And occasionally she said, "Well, we'll just have to deal with that, won't we?" Physiology is a subdiscipline of biology concerned with the scientific study of how organisms carry out the chemical and the mechanical functions necessary for life. So Dr. Jane Shaw has a PhD in physiology, but important to us today and for this honor here is that she has become one of the great experts in the physiology of organizations and what it takes to help people succeed in organizations that are going to succeed. You'll learn more about this remarkable woman in a few minutes, and by the end of the video, you'll know exactly what's most important to Jane Shaw. Thanks.
I grew up on a farm in England, in Worcestershire. Growing up in that environment, my family were always extraordinarily supportive of my education.
I think her ability to learn new things, to take on new tasks, to enter fields that she hadn't perhaps worked in previously, I think that speaks a lot to who she is, to her intellectual curiosity.
I went to the University of Birmingham and I did a bachelor's degree in physiology. I then stayed at the University of Birmingham and did a PhD in the same field. And as I completed the PhD, the team that I had worked with to garner that degree was emigrating to the United States.
I think it's pretty remarkable that she made the decision to after college and university, to travel to the United States really with limited resources and a job prospect on the East Coast.
One day the phone rang. And it was a gentleman calling from California by the name of Alejandro Zaffaroni. He'd heard of the work that we were doing. He'd read the papers that we'd published. And he said he was starting a new pharmaceutical company.
The idea behind the company was to replace conventional drug dosing to patients. Jane, at that time, was project leader of transdermal drug delivery systems.
They're known as patches today. You put patches on your skin to get medication delivered to the bloodstream.
There were some big wins and there were some big risks, and she amazingly got 7 transdermal products through, and it was absolutely the first of a kind in the world.
So we had this product that could now change the nature of the drug in making it a preventative agent rather than one that you used for treatment. It was the drug that turned ALZA profitable, so it was something that I was extraordinarily proud of.
I worked for Jane for 3 years at Aerogen here in the US. In the early days of Aerogen, it was quite challenging. We were pretty far ahead of the industry, and so we were waiting for commercial uptake. So we were constantly in fundraising mode. Jane was not only committed as a CEO, but she personally invested over and over and over to show her commitment and to make sure that the company was solvent. She took that as a personal responsibility, which I think of as extraordinary.
Well, I've known Jane for about 20 years. She was on the Intel board for 19 years. Jane was an active chairman. She was our first truly independent chairman. She's intelligent. She's thoughtful. She solves problems in a methodical fashion. She's of the highest integrity. She's professional.
One of the things that I know is really important to my mom is to help women in business. I think a lot of that obviously comes from her background, coming up through the hard sciences, through the business world in the 60s and 70s.
Jane's very passionate about getting women into the boardroom, into larger and larger areas of decision-making and leadership and strategic places in different companies. And I think she's been a catalyst in that way.
She has sought ways to help others, and you can see this in the friends that she's kept and the mentoring that she's done.
In the end, the products all get outdated, they all disappear. In the end, ALZA disappeared. So you do have to pause and say, so what was that 24 years all about? And you realize in the end, it was about the people and the friendships that you form along the way.
I first met Jane Shaw when I joined the board of McKesson in 1996. Jane had been a longstanding director at McKesson and clearly had already had a significant impact. What's great about her as an executive and as a board member, she can mix the personality of a great individual who you'd like to have as a neighbor and as a friend with a great business mind that you can trust and admire. She not only knows how to lead, but she also knows how to be a great member of a team. And Jane will forever have my respect and admiration and thanks for her contributions to McKesson.
Through her career, prior to her board work as CEO of the company, through the time at Intel as CEO, through her time at McKesson, everything Jane touches gets better. Jane contributes consistently. She's a team builder, and she gets the right answer for the company. She gets the right answer for the shareholder. She's very involved in community affairs. All in all, Jane is one of the funniest people I know.
All of the skills that Jane has developed so wonderfully in her business world, our communities have really come to benefit from her acumen. She serves on the board of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. She is on the board at Lucille Salter Packard Children's Hospital at Stanford. She's chairman of the board of trustees at Grace Cathedral. And so I think she has planned her life in a very rich way.
How people will remember me was that, first of all, I hope they smile. And then I hope they say, she really cared about me, really helped me.
It would be hard now to talk about my mom without referring to her as Grandma Jane. She's a huge part of my son's and my daughter's life. My kids love her, love when she comes to visit. They love that she reads them books, that she's a great storyteller. She's willing to sit with each of them. And there's 5, so it's not easy. She's willing to sit with each of them every night and read a story to them.
Yeah, I do. We love you, Grandma. You're the best grandma ever.
So please welcome Jane Shaw.
Well, what can I say? Best grandma ever. Yeah, well, all right. That's something to live up to. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Let me thank the Bay Area Council, Jim Wunderman, Gary Rogers, Rufus Jeffries, with whom I've had great interaction in preparing for this event. Marsha McLean and her video team did a wonderful job, as you can see. And I would thank everybody, Leighton for the introduction, and everybody who contributed to that video. First, let me congratulate John Chambers. I haven't met him yet this evening, but John, I'm so proud to share the platform with you this evening, and I congratulate you on your spectacular accomplishments. Well, I'm honored and I'm indeed humbled to be acknowledged in this way tonight. I am really, really proud to accept this award as a woman, for it sends a strong signal. I think it sends a strong signal that the efforts so many have undertaken to ensure equal opportunities for women in the workplace and in the boardroom is indeed bearing fruit. It's a good time, particularly as we absorb the possibility that if you all get out to vote on November the 8th, we'll have the first woman president of the United States. So I congratulate the Bay Area Council and thank them intensely for recognition at this particular time in our country's history. You know, it was Harry Truman who said, "You can accomplish anything in life, provided that you do not mind who gets the credit." And all that you heard tonight that is credited to me was not me. It was me as part of a team. Some teams I was just a member of, some teams I had the privilege of leading. And I've been privileged to be a member of some very, very good teams along the way, operating in organizations whose cultures totally reflected my personal values. This was true in my early research career. It was particularly true at the time I was working at the ALZA Corporation, where I worked for some really long period of time, moving from the position of a research scientist up to being president and chief operating officer of that company. And it was the leadership of Dr. Zaffaroni that taught me about the values that prevail in a company. They are so important and need to be exemplified in the culture as to how you treat your clients, how you treat your customers, and most importantly, how you treat your employees. I was a member at ALZA of various product development teams. At Aerogen, I had, and there's a table of Aerogen people here this evening. Thank you so much all for being here. An absolutely wonderful leadership team, and I'm delighted to see 2 tables of Intel people here tonight. Thank you for being here. And being in the boardroom as a team member, leading, helping to shape McKesson as it moved international, just as I was leaving the company, was a truly, it was a marvelous time in my career. The CEO, Alan Seelenfreud, who was the first person to have the faith in me to join a public company board back in 1992, followed by Andy Grove and Gordon Moore inviting me to join the Intel board in 1993, were really instrumental in the growth of my career. I could take opportunities from those boardrooms back to the company at ALZA and then provide them also to Aerogen. Most recently, to be in the boardroom of Grace Cathedral with Bishop Mark, with Dean Malcolm Young, has been indeed a privilege. And it's the most wonderful institution that has helped me grow in another side of my life in terms of taking care of my personal well-being, mental growth, as well as particularly spiritual growth in that environment. I want all of you who are here tonight in support of me to know that this award is as much yours as it is mine, and thank you. As I think it was said on in the video, companies come and go. ALZA was sold to Johnson & Johnson. Aerogen was sold to Nectar. Patents that you work hard to obtain, they expire after their 18 years of life. You lose products. You work hard to bring a product to the market, and maybe it never gets to really get its legs in the market, and doesn't survive there for very long. Some of those that we developed at ALZA are still in the marketplace, particularly a patch for treatment of pain in cancer, patients undergoing cancer chemotherapy who need really help with the pain of the cancer that they're suffering. But these things are all transient, but what does remain are the people. And the people who become, as you work closely side by side, become your friends. And they become, in the end, the major gift that you get from the work that you have put in over time. My scientific career in the healthcare field has always provided me with a great sense of purpose and drive. It's been wonderful to work in that field and to know that you are able to help patients so often in so many ways, if but small ways. But I think to be truly effective, you have to be a part of a community and have a good sense of self. I've been truly blessed with a community, a family, as you could see on the video, and friends. Friends who share both the good times with you, the ups and the downs, the celebrations, the bad times. I'm the most supporting, loving husband that was referred to earlier, Peter. He's been my constant mentor and guide through my career. Thank you. And I have the most wonderful, around the table here, the teams from, as I said, Aerogen, people from ALZA. There are people here from all walks of my life. And it's been a long walk, as you know by now. And we have formed some wonderful friendships along the way. Those of you who came here to support me tonight, a very, very special thank you to you. And to you in the audience, thank you for being here. Thank you for the support that you provide to the Bay Area Council and the wonderful work that you heard earlier tonight that they are doing. I thank you for a most memorable evening for me. Thank you.